Yes, I did. I ran an errand.
Oh, no.
They're both named Stephen. One with a V and one with a PH.
Mary Stuart Masterson and Johnny Depp are two unbalanced characters who find some sort of sanity in each other in Benny and Joon. It's one of 5 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, including films about a jealous mother and her teenage cheerleading daughter and an Eskimo bomber pilot. Boy, our lives sound kind of ordinary after that. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first movie is Benny and Joon, and this movie is pure fantasy. A love story in which two people who seem equally unsuited for coping with the real world decide to try doing it together. The movie stars Mary Stuart Masterson in her first good role since Fried Green Tomatoes as an artist who lives with her older brother and has good days and bad days. She is apparently suffering from schizophrenia, although the movie never names her illness. Her older brother, played by Aidan Quinn, is a regular in a poker game where all sorts of strange things get bet. And one night, Joon sits in and loses, and to pay off the bet, they have to take in another player's loony cousin, Sam, who is played by Johnny Depp.
All right, Mike. You want to play like that? I'll take him. I may not be responsible for what I'm going to do to him, but I'll take him.
Sam is a very strange case, a kid who is obsessed by the silent comedians Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin and is actually pretty good at imitating some of their routines, as he proves here in a famous bit he's learned from Chaplin's Gold Rush. Somehow these two misfits seem oddly suited to each other, as you can gather in this deep conversation about the symbolism and significance of raisins.
They used to be fat and juicy. Now they're twisted. They had their life stolen. Well, they taste sweet, but really they're just humiliated grapes.
Eventually, Sam and Joon fall in love.
Benny? Joon and I are,
You know, in one sense, this movie doesn't really play fair since it avoids the very issue it's about, mental illness. There is one moment when Sam, who wants to marry Joon, does drop his guard long enough to ask, how sick is she? But now that I made that point, let me say that Benny and Joon does work anyway. Johnny Depp is wonderful in the movie as a sort of time-warp creature from silent films. His physical grace doing various Keaton and Chaplin routines is smooth and poetic. And Aidan Quinn and Mary Stuart Masterson avoid all the obvious brother-sister cliches and make their characters real. So that, somewhat to my surprise, I really like Benny and Joon.
I didn't like it at all. And,
really?
No, I didn't. And I thought it was pretty much a case of gimmicks and cute writing and aren't the mentally ill cute in some way. And I just in the raisin clip that you showed there, I hear the writing. I don't believe these characters would really talk that way. She has, I think, goldfish named Stephen and Stephen, one with a V and one with a PH. This is all writer's stuff, and I didn't buy it at all. I thought the most interesting character, the only one that worked, was the Aidan Quinn character, because he was interesting because he's devoted his life to her, and we sort of get the feeling, and I wish this had been pursued more, that the reason he may have devoted so much of his life to her, other than the obvious reasons, is because he can't commit to someone else. And that I wish would have been pursued more.
Well, he's very good, but didn't you think that Johnny Depp did a terrific job, just if you're going to even leave the movie out of it, that he did a terrific job in several different routines
But Roger, you know what I'm getting to believe now that I saw Robert Downey Jr. do the Chaplin stuff well, and even the guy on the IBM commercials did the Chaplin stuff well, maybe it isn't all that hard.
No, it's not that easy. The stuff where he's shuffling the plates,
but Roger, that isn't. But
bread dance,
all right,
that's tough
let me tell you,
stuff.
that's a gimmick.
Roger, very hard.
That's a gimmick, and that's what I'm talking about. It's not a human story. It's not a love story.
It's not an easy gimmick.
Oh boy, the film didn't work for me. Our next film, however, has the captivating name of The Positively True Adventures of the Alleged Texas Cheerleader Murdering Mom. And the big news is that here's another good film from a fresh source of movies, HBO TV Pictures. We reviewed Positively, Barbarians at the Gate, a couple of weeks ago, and here's another story ripped out of the headlines about the Texas mom accused of trying to hire a hitman to knock off the mother of her daughter's classmate, a rival for making the local high school cheerleading team. Holly Hunter from Broadcast News plays the jealous mom who asks her no-account brother-in-law, played by Bo Bridges, to find her a hitman.
It was a car wreck where both of them, or a car blew up or something, where they both died, then it might be different.
Oh, kill them both.
Like a car wreck or something, impact explosion or something, what I'm talking about.
If he could do that.
Then it would not look so obvious.
Yeah. When they have this wreck, they'll probably be dead before the wreck happens, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, so the wreck would be the second stage. Who? Well, they could shoot him and no one would know.
Rounding out the fine cast is Swoosie Kurtz playing Beau Bridges' disturbed wife. Her character is overwritten, however, as she confronts him about his involvement in the murder-for-hire scheme.
Quit taking my stuff.
Conspirator! Liar! Rapist!
She's the only weak link in the film, the guts of which are the performances of Holly Hunter as the superficial Texas mom and a good young actress, Frankie Ingrassia, as her put-upon daughter.
Amber laughed at me. She and her friends, they went right up and laughed at me.
What did she say to you?
I didn't hear exactly, but it was about me losing Cheerleader.
Well, she's a little bitch.
They're very good together. The positively true adventures of the alleged Texas cheerleading murdering mom is really a variation on the evil stage mom story, but it is told and performed quite well here. Holly Hunter has found another character suitable for her considerable talent. And director Michael Ritchie, just like in his 1975 comedy called Smile, which harpooned youthful beauty contests, again scores off the dark side of the American competitive streak. This film is going to be playing this month on HBO. I found it very entertaining.
I liked it too, and you know, the very best thing about it is Holly Hunter's performance.
Yes.
She makes this woman into a real piece of work.
Yes.
And one of the things she does is she has this very definite, rapid-fire delivery.
I know.
And then she'll stop.
Yes.
Somebody will ask her a question, and you see nothing in her face, and she thinks, and then she goes at a right angle. She avoids it. And that's a wonderful technique that she uses. But, no, I like Swoosie Kurtz, too. I like the fact that Swoosie Kurtz and Beau Bridges live in this trailer.
Right.
She's obviously nuts, and he deals with this. It's just part of his existence. He's been married 4 times. Apparently, he doesn't want to go through it all again. And Beau Bridges, who is a very underrated actor,
I agree with you,
is very good here in the way that when they're planning this murder, it's like both sides aren't really sure if the other one is really serious, and that's funny. Yeah,
I like that. He is an underrated actor. His brother gets probably more praise than he does. They are both very good actors. It's a good film. When we come back, an epic wartime romance, Map of the Human Heart.
How come you're here in England, too?
Right.
Holy boy!
You mean holy cow?
Holy boy!
that is one of the opening moments from our next movie, Map of the Human Heart, an unusual epic romance by the gifted New Zealand filmmaker Vincent Ward. The story involves a young Eskimo boy whose life is changed forever in 1931 when he meets a British cartographer played by Patrick Bergen, who's been sent into the Arctic Circle to make maps. The young boy named Avik has tuberculosis, and the map maker flies him to Montreal for treatment. In the hospital where his life is saved, Avik meets a young half-Indian girl named Albertine, who he will be in love with all the rest of his life. Years later, World War II has broken out. Avik leaves the frozen north and ends up in England, where he is a photographer on bombing runs. One day, he's astonished to find that Albertine has found him there.
I'm no ghost. I never thought I'd see you again.
But there is pain ahead when Albertine invites him to a dance.
I have a surprise for you.
God, I need a bed.
Avik. We're not strangers, are we?
Walter.
That's Jason Scott Lee as Avik, and you may recognize Anne Perriot from La Femme Nikita as Albertine. What follows is a magical love story as their reunion leads to two extraordinarily romantic scenes. One on top of a barrage balloon, the other inside the ceiling of the Royal Albert Hall in London. There is an undercurrent all through the story of two people, one half Eskimo, the other half Indian, caught between the worlds of their birth in this dangerous new world of war. And then the whole story is told inside a flashback from 1965, which adds another level of poignancy. I found Map of the Human Heart moving and visionary and original.
Well, Roger, I think it's the first really great film of the year that I have seen. I was very, very impressed at every level throughout the making of this movie. I was just trying to describe it last night to friends I went out with dinner. I said, I saw this most unusual film, and I said, I can't describe it, which is always a great sign. I said, there'll be a scene, and then it'll pop up into another direction and go into another direction. And I am going there, and I don't even know if the filmmakers realize what critics go through when they see a picture like this. I was cheering for it, not to make a mistake. It kept being more daring and more daring. And I was absolutely wonderful.
This is like in life, where you meet someone and they had an interesting life. And they tell you their life, and you say to them, that would make a movie. You were born as an Eskimo, but because you got TB, you went to Montreal where you learned to speak English, and then after your tribe throws you out because you're bad luck, you paddle your kayak south and wind up in a bomber in England where you meet the girl that you met in the hospital. But the thing is, then it would just sound like a melodrama, and it's so much more than that. It's about the human heart.
Well, it's about the human condition in the sense that people do have lives like this. There are amazing coincidences that happen, and most movies, by comparison, are completely underwritten. They are stupid, and this fabulous.
Movie is not predictable.
Fabulous.
Okay, coming up next, Visions of Light, some of the best-looking movies ever made in a film dedicated to the art of motion picture cinematography.
In our next film, Visions of Light, The Art of Cinematography, a documentary tribute to motion picture cameraman, one cinematographer says that the director is in charge of the actors and the story, whereas the cameraman is in charge of the light. I like that. I'm sure a lot of directors would argue that they're in charge of the cinematographers, but the fact is the way a film looks is often more important than how it sounds. And Visions of Light is a welcome tribute to the craft of lighting and photographing a film. In a nutshell, what you get in this documentary is a lot of your favorite scenes and interviews with the men who photograph them. Men, not women, but of course that's another story. For example, here's the great cinematographer Conrad Hall talking about a remarkable scene he photographed from the thriller In Cold Blood.
The light hitting his face with this phenomenon happening on the windows happened to hit his face one time when I was looking. So I went to Richard and I said, Richard, watch this on his face now, you know what I mean? And we did another rehearsal. And you can see the water running down, and it drips around. And he's talking about his father, and it's very sad. He's going to be hanged, but he's playing it very straight, unemotional.
But I do.
And the visuals were crying for him.
And here's William Fraker talking about a shot he made for Rosemary's Baby under the direction of Roman Polanski.
I said, okay, Roman, we're ready. And he comes over, he looks, he says, no, Billy, no, Billy, move to the left, and kindly move. And I look through, and I see just the back of Ruth Gordon seated on the bed. And you can't see her face or see the telephone. I said, but you can't see her. He says, exactly. I said, oh, okay. So now, we go to the theater, and 800 people in the theater all go to see around the door jam.
Visions of Light is a must for film buffs, and it argues that other craft unions in the movie-making process ought to arrange for documentaries to be made about their leading lights. I'd like to see similar efforts about editors and screenwriters and soundmen, but for now, keep a lookout for Visions of Light.
You know, what I liked best about the movie was the attention on black and white photography and on film noir, the great crime films of the 30s, 40s, and into the 50s. And a couple of the cinematographers are very honest when they say that you have to work a lot harder and know a lot more to photograph in black and white. The color makes it a little easier. And the scenes that they show from some of those classic films made me want to go see the movies again.
Absolutely. Just great. When we come back, the story of a strange and gifted Montreal boy in Leolo.
Our next movie is a weird and inspired masterpiece named Leolo by the Quebec filmmaker Jean-Claude Lauzon, who tells the story of a young boy growing up in Montreal in a crazy family. He's a misfit at school and is really only happy when he retreats into the world of the journal he's writing. There he indulges the fantasy that he is not a French-Canadian named Leo, but actually an Italian named Leolo. He has a great passion for a girl who lives in the same building, but is disillusioned when he discovers that she has a mercenary arrangement with his own grandfather. Leolo decides that since he is blamed for everything anyway, he might as well do something really wrong. Just describing what happens in Leolo is not very adequate. This is a movie that is inspired on so many different levels. The photography gets a real look and feel of poor people in the Montreal of 30 years ago. The moments of mordant humor are mixed in with this bright kid's real resentment against his spectacularly dysfunctional family. And the movie mixes fantasy with dark, brooding reality as the hero struggles manfully to keep his sanity and his dreams. Leolo is the kind of movie that doesn't play in every multiplex, but look for it. It's worth it. It's better than the movies that are playing on 2,000 screens.
No question about it. Here again is somebody really daring, and again, one eye-popping scene after another. There's a sequence involved where they go fishing for, I guess they're looking for scrap metal. That is so wonderful. I mean, but it's wonderful because, I mean, it's about work. It's about somebody's memory of this kind of life. And actually, he finds peace in the water looking for stuff because his family is so mixed up, as you just said, that it's a beautiful kind of reverie sequence and totally unlike things I've seen before.
You know, already this year, most of the good films we've seen have been foreign language films.
Right.
And I don't remember that last year it was that way, but this year, the original stuff, people who have a new way of looking at things and who are not just repeating the same old formulas.
It's exciting when we see something
from overseas.
It's really exciting. Coming up next, our Laserdisc Pick of the Month, straight from the Academy Award nominations with behind-the-scenes commentary and missing scenes.
The Siskel and Ebert Laserdisc Pick of the Month is brought to you by Pioneer Home Theater. You don't just watch it.
One of the very best movies of the past year, I ranked at number 2 on my 10 best list, was Robert Altman's The Player, a brutal black comedy about current-day Hollywood featuring the story of a high-ranking motion picture studio executive, Tim Robbins, who actually murders a writer, Vincent D'Onofrio, who he thinks has been stalking him.
You know, I cannot wait to tell the world that when Griffin Mill can't cut the pressure at work, he drives out to Pasadena to pick fights with writers.
The new Laserdisc version offers scenes that were deleted from the final release print of the movie, including this scene where Tim Robbins hides out at a desert rendezvous with the dead writer's former girlfriend, played by Greta Scacchi.
David gave me that. He was obsessed with those things. I was sure he was going to shoot someone one day. He had one with him the night he died. In his briefcase. Police wondered about that.
About what?
About why he didn't use it.
And in a special voiceover narration available only on the Laserdisc, director Altman, Michael Tolkien, who wrote the movie, and cinematographer Jean Lapine talk about the terrific 8-minute opening shot that introduces us to all of the players on the movie studio lot.
The opening 8-minute tracking shot is a conceit. It's what people talk about. People talk about, oh, that wonderful shot that went on for X number of minutes in Touch of Evil or all the various films.
3 years ago.
Film buffs talk about that. We worked very hard on that shot. It's a rather well-done shot. But all said and done, it's not really storytelling. The shot itself becomes storytelling rather than the elements within the shot.
The Player is a great film made even more enjoyable by the extra goodies you get on the Laserdisc. This special disc costs about $90, 3 times the price of most discs, and a Laserdisc player can be purchased for as little as $400. It's the best way to enjoy movies at home. The Player, our Laserdisc Pick of the Month. And now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. A split vote on Benny and Joon, the offbeat love story. Roger was captivated by the performances. I thought the movie was impossibly cute and gimmicky. His thumb up, mine down. But 2 thumbs up for the positively true adventures of the alleged Texas cheerleader murdering mom. A funny and smart comedy by Michael Ritchie about the American way of competition. Holly Hunter is a hoot as the evil mom. And 2 thumbs up, way up, for the truly marvelous film Map of the Human Heart. Congratulations to director Vincent Ward and his cast, which includes Jason Scott Lee and Ann Perriot. And 2 thumbs up for Visions of Light, a fascinating documentary of the craft of cinematography with interviews and commentary on some of the most beguiling scenes ever filmed. And finally, 2 more thumbs up, way up, for Leolo, an audacious, life-affirming comedy about a young Canadian boy growing up. Great films this week.
And worth taking a little extra time to find.
Yeah.
In reviewing the dreadful remake of Bourne yesterday, a few weeks ago on this program, I said that in fast-forwarding my Laserdisc to check out the original 1951 classic, I did not see Broderick Crawford physically strike Judy Holliday. Well, he did sock her, as you can see right here, and so maybe I should have fast-forwarded just a little more slowly. That's it for this week. We'll be back again next week with reviews of more new movies, including Timothy Hutton, who stars in the Stephen King thriller The Dark Half, about a novelist who is haunted by his evil twin. And we'll also review Indian Summer with Elizabeth Perkins, Bill Paxton, and Kevin Pollak as baby boomers who revisit their childhood. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Sundance, made with pure fruit juice and sparkling water. No sugar.